Hello everybody, we're here at AdventureX with Cockle. He's quite famous for his voice in Witcher 3 and some other games. Do you actually play games or do you just voice them?
Oh no, I play games. Not as much as I would like. I tend to be quite busy with life as well as work and things. But yeah, I love to play games, always have. I played all the way through Witcher 3. I've been working on Fallout 4, and that's been fun, but I haven't been able to get back to it. And, you know, you get to a point when if you have to leave a game and you come back to it like a week later and you've forgotten how to play it, so you have to spend the first hour just kind of figuring out what you're doing and everything. So I have no idea where I am in Fallout 4 anymore, somewhere.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Have you got any favorite genre or something?
Definitely the fantasy genre. I like fantasy, science fiction, things like that, role-playing games. I grew up on Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. So that's what I gravitate towards. But I also like things like I've always loved Worms. So really excited. Worms: Weapons of Mass Destruction has come out recently, and that's going to be really good fun. I think I'm going to be getting on with some of the developers and streaming and playing the Worms WMD sometime in the near future, which I think is going to be great fun.
And you also voiced Nate in Book of Unwritten Tales 1 and 2. So do you also play adventure games, or is it more like work?
Yeah, I did play a little bit of Book of Unwritten Tales, but I never got back to it. I don't know exactly why. I think I just got busy, and then the list of games that I wanted to play kept growing, and I just never quite got back to it. I'll play any game if I have time. Street Fighter and things like that. But I also like board games. I've always been a big fan of board games. So, things like Settlers of Catan. One of my favorites is Pente, the little stones game. And yeah, it's a little bit like Go or Othello or things like that, but it's its own thing. I do play games.
So you're probably most famous for your work in The Witcher, but which is also celebrating its 10-year anniversary now. But how did you become the voice of Geralt?
As happens with most games, I went to an audition. I didn't know anything about The Witcher or about Andrzej Sapkowski, and the books hadn't been translated into English yet, so there was no information out there really, and I don't read Polish. I went to this audition and got it, is the basic story. And then we spent a fevered week of 10 and 12-hour days recording. So Witcher 1 was quite small by comparison. I think you can actually fit all of Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 into the Blood and Wine expansion of Witcher 3.
And how do you prepare for a role in general?
With video games, there's often very little preparation you can really do because quite often I'll go to the audition or I'll get the job and I won't know much about what the thing is until I get there, and then I see pictures of the game art and things like that, or a picture of the character, or the developers or the director describe the world to me, and then I start to plug in the holes in my knowledge, and from there it's just working it out. But as an actor in other mediums, there are different kinds of preparation you have to do. In the theater, obviously, there's learning the script. You might have particular physical requirements. You might have to ride a bike, or certainly in television and film as well. You have to understand the through line of the story. So you do certain kinds of preparation, but in game acting, often there's very little preparation you can actually do. You just have to get there and then go with the flow.
Well, your deep voice in The Witcher is quite iconic. Do you fear that you're going to that kind of stereotype, or do you even avoid that kind of stereotype?
Yeah, a lot of times I get approached to do voiceovers for other games, and what they want is that kind of a voice. That's why they come to me. I do other voices, and I have done in a number of other games, but I tend to get cast as the kind of reluctant hero. And along with the reluctant hero, tends to come that sort of world-weary, little bit on the edge, a little bit tired of all this, all that stuff that's very much Geralt. So, yeah, I recently did voiceover for a game called Augmented Empire. And I did a voice like this, very different from the Geralt voice, very different from my own. But it fit the character perfectly, so it just depends on what the character needs. But because people have heard my Geralt voice, and they know that that's the kind of voice that they want for their character. I did a voiceover for another game recently, and I went in and I sat down and put the cans on, and the director called up the developers, and they answered on Skype, and then he said, right, well, we've very definitely not got Geralt in the booth. Because we knew it was an inside joke, because we knew that I was going to be doing a very similar voice. So, yeah, it's fun sometimes.
In your career, what has been your favorite character you voiced?
In terms of games, it's Geralt, for all the obvious reasons. But in terms of my career overall, I played a character in a Lanford Wilson play called Burn This, and it was done at the Duke's Theatre, Lancaster. And I just absolutely loved playing that character. It was fantastic. Yeah, I think, looking at, all the different roles I've played, that was one I felt particularly proud of.
Well, and what projects that you can speak of are you working on now?
Anything I'm currently working on, I can't actually speak of, unfortunately. And some things, they wouldn't want me to give away. What I can say is that there's a game called Spellforce 3 that's coming out sometime in the near future. The trailer's already out there on YouTube and various other places, and I was involved in that. I was recording that back in July. So that'll be coming out soon. I don't think there's any more voice work to do on that. I think we've done all there is to do on that. So I don't expect to have to go back in for that. There are a couple of other things that I'm involved in. One of them is a game called Sacred Fire by a developer called Poetic Studio. Mm-hmm. And I've been kind of helping them with their Kickstarter campaigns and various things like that. And they very much want me to be involved as one of the characters in the game. But they're very much a small startup studio. So I have no idea how long it's going to take them to get to the point where they actually need voice actors. But I'm just trying to support them and help them make the game that they're so passionate about.
So, and anything else you want to add to our community?
I just want to say thank you for loving the games and playing them and just being interested.